Hello all. Welcome to Wednesday, March 18th. Wednesday, March 18th today, and this is fine. We've got a lot to go over today. It's obviously still a weird time, especially for us, Voice of San Diego, all these reporters out there trying to get the news and information. We met again. We meet every day now virtually at 10 a.m., went over a bunch of story ideas. A lot of different investigations that we're trying to pursue now based on some of the things we've heard and other tips we've been getting. If you are a healthcare provider, if you're a government employee, if you're a business and you have something to say, go to Voice of San Diego. Let us know. If you go to our guide of guidance that we've put up, you can fill out the form we've included there with information, things you want us to know. Check that out. There is so much going on. We have a lot of leads, a lot of opinions coming at us all the time, and there's a lot to follow. So this is our daily recap so that we can try to check this out. All right, a couple of things. My name is Scott Lewis. Again, I'm the CEO and Editor-in-Chief at Voice of San Diego. We do investigative work and explanatory work on local politics and local public affairs, global pandemics, all those things. I also have my own family. I run this organization, or I try to, in partnership with so many people, and we work really hard to provide this information in a conversational, easy way. We have about 15 employees, so I've never managed my way through a global pandemic and entire shutdown of the economy either, so I share a lot of concerns that people have. But we're determined to be a relevant and important institution as everybody goes through this. All right, at home I have 2 kids. We're managing that really as best we can as well. I'm supposed to get home at 3 p.m. every day to do physical education because I don't know if you can tell, but I'm an extremely physically fit and athletic man, so that's an obvious thing for me to handle. They've been enjoying it though. They're good kids. They've also been doing some work online with some of their peers, and there's a teacher. I wanted to highlight her. She's doing some great work in Point Loma. Her name's Amy Eisenhower Omholt. That's Amy Eisenhower Omholt. Every day she's running an art class that my daughter just adores. And she's, hey, I am very athletic. Now, you might not see it in the office, Will, but I am. Amy Eisenhower Omholt is doing some great work every day, running our art class. My daughter just adores it. Check her out on Facebook. She's amazing. She does some, walks them through there, gives the people caretaking at home a real break because she's engaging and seems like something she could do straight up as a business. It's beautiful. And so, there's some real heroes stepping up through this. Another hero, just to prove how much this is fine really is, his name is Ryan Bradford, writes the newsletter Awkward SD. He reports today that Chuck E. Cheese is still doing carry out. Chuck E. Cheese is still doing carry out. And yes, I will tweet that link to Amy's class. So if you really wanted some of that pizza, you can still get Chuck E. Cheese pizza. I know our heart is with everybody who's had to cut back in this situation. I wrote a piece today as well about the economy. In my opinion, the economy's undergoing kind of a chemotherapy. This virus hitched a ride to all of us, to humans, through our economy, and the economy is literally what's spreading it. And so we, we're going through a kind of a chemotherapy for that. We're trying to stop the virus, which means we have to stop the economy. And that means that just like chemotherapy, a lot of healthy cells are sacrificing. And it's those people, it's those workers, those businesses that are sacrificing right now that are really a kind of new veterans. They're kind of new veterans of a new type of battle, right? They sacrificed for all of us because it's based on the basic belief that if we didn't do that, it would be a lot worse going forward. All the pain, all the change that we're going through right now is better than what this would rot if we let it go. And so that's the whole theory behind what we're going through. We just got to figure out a way to get through it. I got a question when we posted we were doing this, a bunch of questions. We're going to go over one of them from Marco. Marco says the impact of workers staying home will cause economic devastation for months, if not years. Will the long-term Will the long-term impact of this be recognition that our workers are the foundation of our economy and therefore more deserving of wages, benefits, programs, blah, blah, blah? Will organized labor come out the real winner, or will we have the same situation with CEO investors? I'm not a macroeconomist. I'm not sure I have the perfect answer for this, but I will say this. It does seem like we've had a tectonic shift on things like sick leave and wages in the sort of pure idea that if you're going to go to work, you better be healthy, and if you're not healthy, you better not go to work. That seems like that's a thing that we've now gone over. So what other things of that will we start to see? There was a projection that came out from JP Morgan today. It said we're going to see a 14% decline next quarter in our economy. 14%. We expect that to grow 2% or so every quarter, and so to see something like that would be extraordinary. But then he projects it would go up in the third quarter, up 8%. So will we really see a rebound like that? I don't know. I'm no expert, but I do think we have crossed over in these discussions about sick leave and in particular about healthcare. What are we really going to do as a basic benefit for everybody? I don't know, but I think we've crossed the line to where it's clear now that when you're sick, that's a threat to everyone, not just you, not just your family, but that has implications for all of us, and I do think we've had a change there. I will say this, look, this is scary. I know a lot of people who are scared. I've seen some people lose it a little bit. I feel it sometimes. Last night I had a little bit of trouble on some things. I don't know what's going to happen, but I do know that if we are able to get through this, if we do come back and we do present, we're able to go back to the gym, go back to the bars, I can see people breaking out in applause. I can see celebratory reopenings. I can see an enthusiasm and an energy that would be just wonderful to be a part of. Now, can we do that in 6 months? Can we do that in 5 months? Can we do that in 4 months? I don't know. Maybe it's another year. But we can picture a moment where we get back and we're as enthusiastic and excited to collaborate together and to reconnect in that economy that we've broken down in a way that's truly special. So what are we going to do to get through that? Well, if we don't have purpose as we get through that, then we're going to have a miserable time. We're going to get scared, we're going to feel isolated, and we're not going to be able to do the work that we need to do to be relevant. And so if you're scared or you're isolated, think about what your purpose is. Maybe your purpose is just staying healthy. Maybe your purpose is just getting your kids through the next few months. Maybe your purpose is to save your business or to keep it going or to keep your employees around. Maybe whatever purpose you can tap into, that's what we got to focus on now, because if we get through the other side, it could be glorious. We just got to keep going. Okay, some updates. We had another question about the border. A lot of people were really jarred by the news that the Canadian-U.S. border, it's the longest land border in the entire world. The Canadian-U.S. border has been closed to non-essential travel and recreational and tourism travel. They're still going to keep the supply chain going and essential. I wasn't clear what exactly essential means, but basically if you're going across to Canada for fun or for a shopping trip, you're not going to be able to do that, and if vice versa, the other way. So there was a lot of people obviously worried about our own border. It remains open. It remains functional. We have no indication that they are going to close it. We did hear, however, that there were 2 confirmed cases of the coronavirus, the new coronavirus, in Baja California yesterday. Maya Srikrishnan, our reporter on border issues, has been following closely. It doesn't appear that the Mexican government is as afraid about what's happening as we are yet, but we all saw how fast that changed. Whose lives didn't change extraordinarily last year? So, or last week, feels like last year. So that could obviously happen there. Again, Maya Sri Krishnan, you can follow her. She does great work following the border. Nobody can explain it better. All right, another one that came up, we did a story, Lisa Halverstadt, about the lessons San Diego County and the city of San Diego, learned after the hepatitis A outbreak we had a couple years ago. So Lisa was one of those who brought urgency to the situation. People were dying on the streets in San Diego a couple years ago with this hepatitis A outbreak. She did a big story, basically said, like, where are we? What are we doing about people dying on the street? It turned out there was massive miscommunication going on. There was a lack of transparency, a lack of mobilization. She dug into that and brought that urgency. And our approach to homelessness has been different ever since. Now she looked back, said, what did we learn from that? Basically, we got to be more transparent, got to communicate better. You have seen some of that go better this time. But again, we're investigating some things that, maybe aren't going so well. So we got to dig into that and make sure to hold them accountable for communicating, being transparent and working together. Because, we're not constituents of just the city or just the county or just the state. They can fight and have rivalries all they want, but we are constituents of the entire group. So get it together and work together. That's our imperative to them. There is another bit of news in Lisa's story. In an unprecedented step, county officials are moving some homeless and vulnerable San Diegans, people with insecure housing, as it's called, who test positive for the coronavirus, into one of the 1,100 now, again, 1,100 hotel motel rooms that the county has secured to try to make sure that people who do test positive or are sick can get isolated, not just in some of these encampments and other places where they could spread the disease rapidly. Lisa Halverstadt is all over that. Another big piece of news that came out of the city of San Diego, again, this is separate from the county. The county handles public health, handles welfare and food assistance, things like that. The city, of course, oversees the police, the firefighters for the city of San Diego, as does the other 17 cities in the county. The city of San Diego yesterday gave direction to the city attorney to come up with an ordinance that would prohibit people from being evicted and from businesses from being evicted if they are not able to make their monthly payments. This hasn't actually been put into effect yet. It is just a unanimous or a decision by the city council and by the mayor that they want this. They'll have to come back to make it official. There is a hitch, though. You have to keep in mind that whether you're a business or a resident who is worried about eviction, you have to advise your landlord ahead of when the payments are due that the financial circumstances won't allow you to make those payments. You'll have to have proper documentation, and you'll have to be clear about why you're incapable of making those payments, and then you'll have to make your landlord whole. So this is not an amnesty from payments, and it's not even in effect yet. However, there seems to be national and state momentum to provide some relief to make sure people don't become homeless or lose their leases. If your small business is closed, that's obviously a gigantic consideration right now. One of the biggest costs that businesses face every single month. We also have news today, rather breaking. Andrew Keats followed some of the communications from Metropolitan Transit System. That's, of course, this provider of transit services in the city of San Diego and around there. The North County Transit District handles the Sprinter and North County stuff, so MTS handles most of the rest. MTS made it known that they've seen ridership collapse 20% since this all went down. 20% means that they're going to consider going to the Saturday level service, if not more cutbacks then. That was from Paul Jablonski, Metropolitan Transit System's CEO. Obviously, people are not moving around. It's just, can you believe the streets right now? I'm working at the office because for various reasons, the house is kind of crazy, and I need to get a lot of stuff done so we can remain relevant as an organization. But you drive into the office now, and it's just a ghost town. It's crazy. So obviously the Metropolitan Transit System is feeling that. We've seen similar warnings in San Francisco and in New York, where the transit systems are facing incredible financial problems because of what is happening. The San Diego City Council also ratified an emergency state of emergency yesterday. So that just grants them official powers so they can continue to address the spread of the virus. All right, I wanted to go back and address something else that's going to be a really important issue. Yesterday, I think a lot of us were really blown away to hear the Governor Gavin Newsom of California, announce, or at least let it be known when he was asked, that he didn't think schools would open at least until the start of next school year. That, of course, is, well, it's kind of horrifying to imagine. Obviously, it puts a constraint on productivity and ability to thrive of thousands and thousands of San Diegans, people who are trying to make sure they don't lose momentum on their education as well. Your kids' education, this is, every moment matters, right? There's nothing that's drilled into our head more than that. And so we've been getting a lot of questions from people wondering when we're going to actually adjust to that. So what does that actually mean? Gabby Dow writes that she'd love to discuss the differences. She had a seventh grader who's getting full instruction from 10:30 to 1:30, remotely, and yet her ninth grader, who goes to a different school, is twiddling his thumbs. Obviously, she's providing some enriching activities in the meantime. But the point is like, what's the difference? What's going on here? I've heard from private school parents whose private school teachers are providing immense remote opportunities. Gabby reports that one of her children goes to, the one who's getting some of these services, going to a charter school, the other one's going to a traditional high school. So what's happening here? Basically what's happening is the school district can't really provide services unless it can provide them equitably, right? So if it has special education students, it has to be able to make sure that they're getting the same opportunities as people who are more able-bodied. We have situations where people don't have access to internet or something. So can they provide anything without providing everything? That's a question that we're going to have to watch really closely. I don't have the answer for that, but if we go another 6 months, another year without educational services, what are we going to do? And how is it going to work out? And I think school districts are going to have to come up with some answers to those questions quickly. They are providing some educational programming on KPBS, which is planning 12 hours of streaming and other services, so you can check that out. Again, the art teacher is doing the wonderful art class my daughter loves. Her name is Amy Eisenhower Umholt. I don't know if it's private, so I hope it didn't blow up her Facebook feed with all of these hordes of followers we have. Listen, we're all in this together. All the people out there who are sacrificing, who are stepping up to take care of kids, who are losing their jobs, who are having to get furloughed or who are having to stay back, you're all part of this. You're all heroes in this situation, because you're the ones that are taking the hit so that we can build a better future, because it's been determined, and we'll have a lot of years to look back on whether it was right, but it's been determined that if we do not do this, we are going to have a lot more pain long term than what we're experiencing now. And so I think it's time for us to really be considering what we're going to do for people who have had to make that sacrifice through this. Restaurants, the number of people dealing with these consequences is just too hard to contemplate. So I'm with you, and Voice of San Diego's with you. We're going to be monitoring what these decisions are being made at city halls, at school districts, at county board of supervisors, at all these places that are making major decisions that will affect us for years and years to come. We're going to be there investigating and explaining what's happening. And stay tuned with your questions and your ideas of things that you want us to look into, because this is the time for us all to understand what we're doing, why, and where we're headed. So thank you. If you do not yet get the morning report at voiceofsandiego.org. There's a big sign up there. And if you're so moved, you want to make sure these reporters can keep digging and find these things out, go to voiceofsandiego.org/donate. And I'm sure, obviously, we'll keep this going, keep people employed, and make sure they still have health insurance and everything as we go through this. So I'm with you. We'll keep doing updates, and look, we'll all look back on this, remember how crazy this is, and if we stay focused with purpose, we'll be able to get through it together. Cheers, and from Voice of San Diego, on behalf of all the reporters working hard for you, thanks for joining.